The laughter on the yacht echoed across the bright, endless sea, a sound of careless joy that masked something far darker beneath. Then, in an instant, that laughter broke into a scream. Maya's scream. Her body struck the icy water with a sharp splash, sending ripples through the calm waves. Gasps erupted, faces turned pale, and all eyes fixed on the water below, where fins sliced through the blue like silent knives. For a moment, no one moved. Everyone froze. Everyone except the ones who had pushed her. The bullies stood near the railing, smirking, convinced it was just a joke. But as the ocean began to stir and the truth of what they'd done sank in, the laughter died on their lips. What happened next would silence every voice on that boat and change them forever. Before we go any further, take a moment to remember why stories like this matter. If you believe that kindness holds more power than cruelty, that empathy can still change hearts, then make sure to like this video and subscribe. Every story here is a reminder that compassion isn't weakness. It's what makes us human. Maya was never the type to fight back. At the elite coastal academy, she lived quietly on the edges of every crowd, often with her head buried in a book while the others compared designer shoes and luxury vacations. To most of them, she was invisible, just the scholarship girl, the one who didn't belong. They called her Shark Bait, a cruel nickname born from the fact that her father was a humble fisherman who spent his life battling waves instead of managing companies. Still, Maya carried herself with quiet grace, never letting their words break her spirit. When the class decided to celebrate graduation with a yacht party, she almost declined the invitation. But something inside her whispered that maybe, just maybe, this was her chance to finally be seen, not for what she lacked, but for who she truly was. Perhaps today they would see her differently. Perhaps today they would be kind. The sea was calm that afternoon, sunlight gliding across the waves like liquid glass. Laughter drifted through the air as music played softly from the yacht's speakers, the sound of youth, freedom, and carelessness. But beneath that perfect scene, something cruel was waiting to surface. 3 classmates, Jason, Chloe, and Tyler, had decided that Maya needed to be initiated, as they called it. To them, she was the easy target, the one who wouldn't fight back. They called her over with friendly smiles, pretending they wanted to take a group photo with the ocean behind them. "A little closer to the railing," Jason said, flashing his perfect grin. Maya hesitated, then stepped forward, hopeful for once to be included. But before her smile could reach the camera, a sudden shove sent her world spinning. The icy water hit her like concrete, stealing the air from her lungs. She gasped as salt burned her throat, her arms flailing against the pull of the current. Above, muffled voices shouted, some laughing, others screaming. For a heartbeat, she thought it was all part of the joke. Then the laughter stopped. Fear replaced the sound of music. From the corner of her eye, she saw it. A dark shape slicing through the waves. Then another. A fin broke the surface, circling closer. Maya's heart pounded so hard she could hear it echo in her ears. The cold water clawed at her skin, and every instinct screamed at her to fight, to kick, to swim for her life. But then, through the rising panic, her father's voice returned, calm, steady, and full of wisdom. "Sharks don't attack because they're evil, Maya," he used to say during their early morning fishing trips. "They react to fear. Stay calm, and the ocean will respect you." Those words anchored her now. Instead of thrashing, she closed her eyes for a brief second and slowed her breathing. The more she steadied herself, the quieter the chaos became. She floated still, her body surrendering to the rhythm of the sea. Around her, the sharks circled, slow, deliberate, and curious, not hungry. The water rippled gently as if the ocean itself was holding its breath with her. From the yacht above, someone screamed for the captain, panic spreading like wildfire. But down below, Maya remained motionless, her fear replaced by something stronger, trust. Minutes stretched into eternity until finally a rope splashed beside her. Hands reached down, pulling her back toward the deck. When she emerged from the water, gasping and soaked, everyone stared in disbelief. Not a single scratch marked her skin, not a single scream escaped her lips, only silence and awe. Back on the deck, everyone waited for an explosion. Tears, anger, or a scream, but none came. Maya stood there, drenched and trembling, her hair clinging to her face, eyes glimmering not with hatred, but with something far more unsettling, peace. The bullies avoided her gaze, shifting nervously as if her silence shouted louder than any words could. Then, finally, she spoke, her voice soft but steady. "You wanted to see what fear looks like?" she said, looking directly at Jason. "Well, now you've seen what courage looks like, too." With that, she turned and walked toward the cabin, her footsteps slow and deliberate, leaving behind a silence so heavy it drowned out even the waves. By the next morning, the video of the incident had spread like wildfire. It wasn't the cruelty that captivated people, it was Maya's grace. Reporters called her the girl who stayed calm among sharks. When the police offered to press charges, Maya shook her head. "No," she said quietly, "I don't want them punished. I want them to understand." Instead of revenge, she made a different request, that the bullies spend their summer volunteering at the local marine rescue center, the same place her father once took her to learn about the creatures everyone feared. "Let them see," she said, "what life feels like when it's vulnerable and what it takes to protect it." Months later, the sun rose over the same ocean that had once terrified them all. On the shore stood Maya, calm, smiling softly, beside the very people who had once mocked her. Jason, Chloe, and Tyler knelt in the sand, gently lowering rescued sea turtles into the waves. The creatures flapped their tiny fins, disappearing into the open blue, free again. None of the bullies spoke, but their silence was different now. Not heavy with guilt, but filled with understanding. They would never forget the girl they once called shark bait, the girl who could have destroyed them, but instead chose to teach them. Maya had every reason to hate, yet she chose to heal. As the tide crept over her feet, she whispered to herself, not in pride, but in peace. Because real strength, she knew now, wasn't found in revenge. It lived in forgiveness, in the courage to rise above pain without passing it on. Sometimes, those who fall into the deepest waters are the ones who resurface, teaching the world how to swim. Kindness isn't weakness. It's the quiet power that transforms fear into peace and turns enemies into students of compassion. In a world that often celebrates strength through dominance, Maya showed that the truest strength is found in grace. Her courage didn't come from fighting back, but from choosing to forgive, proving that even in the darkest waters, empathy can light the way.